Hey guys, John here. Today we're making Ghosts of Time, and it's kind of like a distant, airy piano sound. So this is what it sounds like. Alright, if you like the patch, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. So now let's dive into this patch and see how it was made. First things first, let's turn off our effects here. So I have an external reverb, let's turn that off. And in the effects panel, let's disable reverb, delay, and distortion. So basically, this patch here is going to be a pulse wave, two rounded squares from the basic shapes, and on the sample editor, or the sample oscillator, is going to be a grinder. So let's turn these off here and listen to the first one. So that kind of already has the piano type of sound. Now we're going to be going in basic shapes and bringing the slider all the way to the top to get this type of pulse wave. The pitch is going to be 0, fine tuning 0, voice is 16, and the detune is going to be 5. And as you notice, when I press a note, we can see the waveform is modulating, and that's getting modulated by this first LFO right here. Now it's on the inharmonic setting here, and it's just a little bit at 0.278. Now for this over here, we're going to be FMing. So oscillator 2 is going to be FMing number 1, and this value is at about like 49, 50%, give or take. And the level here is going to be down. Now for the third oscillator, it's going to be a sine wave here, and it's going to be minus 12 to kind of give us a little bit of that low end down there as well. So the level here for the first one is 0.566. The second one, like I said, is down because we're using this for frequency modulating the first oscillator. And then the third one is going to be minus 12, so down an octave, and the level is going to be 0.019. And it's very low and almost inaudible now because a lot of our effects are turned off, but that will change, especially once we get the distortion in here as well. So now oscillator 1 is going to filter number 1. Oscillator 2 is going to the effects, which it doesn't necessarily matter because the level is going to be down. Oscillator 3 is going to filter number 1, which is right here. And for this filter, we have dirty, dirty, 24 dB. And the cutoff is going to be 969.6 hertz with no resonance. And now this filter is also getting sent to filter number 2 as we select this filter 1 button right here. Now this is going to be analog 12 dB, and the cutoff is going to be 73.29. So this is going to be basically the opposite version of what we have here. So this slider here, drag this all the way to the right. So here we have a low pass, and then here we have a high pass. Both resonances are also down. A small little note here is this key tracking is a very small value at 11.72%, but keep that on because when the higher notes come in, you do want a little bit more of this filter opening up just a little bit to kind of get that tonality, that harmonic content of the higher notes. So very important little button right here. Even though it's a little value, it does carry quite a lot of weight. So now on the last oscillator, the sample one, it's going to be down 1 octave. It's going to be grinder. The keyboard and the loop one here is going to be selected. And this level is going to be modulated here by envelope 2. So over here, it's kind of just a small little peak, and this is more so to give an attack of this piano sound. It's hard to notice, but once we have the effects in, I'll kind of A-B that a little bit to kind of give it a little bit more realism. Because I wanted to have a little bit of, I guess, a little type of noise once the keys are pressed to simulate a little bit more realism to a piano sound or the keys being struck, that kind of thing. So moving on to the effects here. We have distortion, and this is going to carry a lot of the harmonic content here. So here's without it. Kind of brings a little bit more to the forefront. It's going to be a soft clip. The drive is going to be 5.864. The mix is 100% or 1, I guess. Don't worry about the second section here. That's going to be off, so no filter there. The delay is going to be 1/8. And the feedback is going to be 25.24, mix 13.79, cutoff 59.16, and the spread 0.556. And the reverb here is going to be working with another reverb as well to really soak it up, I should say. So the low cut is 216.3, high cut 3,195 hertz. The cutoff here is going to be, what is that? 8.175, coarse amount 0, delay 0.066, mix 24.99, the time 3.12 seconds, and the size 28.97, chorus frequency down, and then the gain is also down. So something to keep in mind with this patch, I did add this reverb here, so you can basically use it out of the box, but I feel like an external reverb might be a little bit better. So if you do use this patch, you might want to toggle off this reverb here and use your own. So maybe experiment with both. That's kind of the concept behind that, because I have my reverb here and I turn this on and it's quite a large one. It's about similar to the one here, so 2.93 seconds. And I did cut off about 300 hertz as well and cut it off to about 1.5K. So something to keep in mind there. Now for the main envelope, this one's kind of interesting because we want to have a quick attack. So once the key's struck, we hear the note, but the decay is going to be 1.384 seconds, 0 sustain, because it sounds weird if you sustain a piano or something old like that. And the release is going to be 0.652. So the release in conjunction with the reverb is really going to simulate that type of effect. I also turned on the velocity tracking all the way to the top, because if you're simulating someone kind of playing, you really want to have that effect here. So if we look inside this piano roll editor, we can see with these different notes, these velocities I did change. So the main chords getting struck are going to be harder than the lighter kind of arpeggio type of notes. So we kind of have a more of an impact, so it almost feels a little bit more humanized. So now with all these effects in, this grinder noise here, it is very low. It's at 0.038. So let's kind of increase this to see what this is actually doing. So that little noise right there kind of helps with the piano, but at very, very low values. So 0.028, something like that, or 38. It's one of those things that it's kind of not really noticeable when it's there, but it does add more to the realism. If you don't notice it, that means something doesn't sound wrong in that sense. And that's basically how this patch works in a nutshell. It's kind of simplistic, but it is pretty thought out when I was making this here. So yeah, that's pretty much all of this patch in a nutshell. Let's play this out, and yeah. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.